Hello everybody and welcome back to the airing of Grievances. Very nice to have you along with us. I'm Eric Reamer. This is Robert Grieve. And Rob, today we're going to get right into it because we've got a situation here.
Still want to say happy Saturday.
Of course.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday
happy
to
Saturday.
you. We've got a situation that a couple of articles have come out. One from the the Consumer Federation of America, and the other one from Repair Driven News, talking about a windfall is the word that they're using for the insurance industry as a general whole, and the way that the articles are written suggests that it is at the expense of the consumer, you and I, and you, our viewer. So let's start with what the articles are saying, and at least what they suggest, and where we stand with that.
All right. Well, before we even get into that, first of all, thank you to all of you that are watching. We
Absolutely.
appreciate you very much. This is kind of an important subject, as I think they all are that we talk about.
Sure.
But, we work hard to come up with stuff that is going to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year, as I'm driving to work, late February, early March, and I'm looking around and feeling like I'm in a movie because I'm the only car. Yeah, last year. I'm the only car on the road.
Right.
There's maybe a couple of cars here and there, but by and large, very few. And it takes me about a half hour to get to work, a little less with no other cars on the road.
Sure.
But I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a landfall for insurance companies. Because there's nobody on the road to have accidents.
So the risk is diminished greatly, right?
Yeah. There's very few. I mean, if there's nobody driving, there's no risk.
Right.
And other than if it got hailed on, or a garage fell on it, or a fire, or some other crazy thing.
Sure.
But
and at the same time, the insurance companies were continuing to gain their premiums.
In many cases, they actually raised premiums. I've heard from several people.
Wow.
So I'm driving down the road thinking this is going to be an incredible windfall for the insurance companies, and just waiting for the other shoe to fall as to if anybody's going to cover it or they're going to do anything. And then you get the hints that maybe they're going to refund some money to people, and I'm like shocked at the thought.
I remember that.
I was shocked that there's even conversation about them returning, and I'm like, well, I can't wait to see what they return.
Yeah.
And then I got reports from people that got $75, some people got $100, and that was pretty much it. And I'm like, that ain't a drop in the bucket compared to what they're making right now.
It's true. The insurance industry, with, first of all of us are required, if you're a driver on the road, you're required to have insurance for you and your vehicle. And so you do the math on that, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so I understand that. Yeah, you're thinking, well, $100, for each person. In some cases, that doesn't even cover a full month's worth of
heavens no.
Of premium.
Heavens no. That's not even a week for me.
Yeah.
Forget about a month.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I was just waiting for the other shoe to fall as to, does anybody actually calculate the windfall?
Yeah.
Because you knew they were going to have, it was clear they were going to have record profits. And I'm not about people not making record profits.
No.
But we were in a little bit of a sensitive time for everybody. And there were a lot of industries struggling to even keep the doors open. And still making gigantic insurance payments because we not only have our house and cars and stuff, but we also have the business.
Yeah.
And all those premiums, they just have to keep getting paid.
Yep.
I was not one of those people that got any refunds from anybody.
Okay.
But, days early. Maybe the check's still in the mail.
The check could be in the mail. At what, 18, 20 months now of the pandemic and so on. Then a couple of months ago, the Consumer Federation of America wrote an article that said, hello, the insurance companies collected, I wanted to say $44 billion in profits and
excess premiums,
excuse me. And out of that, they returned only, I think, what is it?
13 million? 13 billion.
Billion, okay, all right. And so there's this $29 billion gap, and
not the way they see it.
The Consumer Federation of America and subsequently Repair Driven News wrote articles saying, hey, we're questioning this.
Well, let's just read the title. Auto insurers reaped nearly $30 billion pandemic windfall profit in 2020 as state insurance regulators fail to protect the consumers.
There it is. There's the question that these articles are raising, is the state regulators of insurance departments, they have one job.
To protect the consumer.
Protect the consumer. To look out for the consumer's best interest. And we've done a few videos on this, on various topics, talking about how the Department of Insurance certainly in Colorado, sometimes doesn't listen to the consumer's issues.
Or they feel like their hands are tied.
Yeah, they side on the side of the
you're
insurer.
better off suing somebody, that's kind of out of our reach and so on and so forth. So here's the thing. I want to read just a couple of things out of the Repair Driven News article.
I'll link both of the articles below, but this is the one that'll be on the top here, the Repair Driven News. It's the most recent, came out this week.
Yep. Insurers selling personal auto insurance reaped windfall profits of at least $29 billion in 2020 as miles driven, vehicle crashes and auto insurance claims dropped because pandemic and related government actions, according to the Consumer Federation of America and Center for Economic Justice.
Right. These are the two watchdog organizations that are calling attention to this issue on a national scale.
Yep. These are both national watchdog agencies.
Yes.
And it goes on further to say, instead of returning the COVID windfall to consumers, insurance increased payouts to senior management and stockholders, the CFA and CEJ said.
Yeah.
So, and I know of one CEO of an insurance company that got $20 million last year.
Last year, during the pandemic.
Yeah. And
additional.
Yeah. Well,
So,
$20 million. I don't know if it was additional or not, but
right.
I don't think it was a pay cut for lack of being able to make money.
Right.
They certainly made money. But here is the really sad thing. They transferred in order to bolster the profits even more. That wasn't enough for them.
Right.
They transferred a lot of the risk that they should have been covering on the cars that did get damaged back onto the consumer. And so...
How so?
Okay. So here's a few different ways. While this pandemic was going on and shops were slow because there's no crashes going on.
We're talking about body shops.
Yep, body shops. The insurance companies decided to grind them into the dirt as far as what they were going to pay for, what they weren't going to pay for, how they would approve it or wouldn't approve, and the consumer in many cases had to pay the difference.
Yeah. Let me just give you, the viewer of this video, a little bit of a background, because this struggle has always happened in the insurance versus body shop. And we're talking about body shops that are independent. They're not the ones who are beholding through...
Even those beholding ones saw their graphs get tighter as to what the requirements were.
But even there, in addition to that, I should say, now we've got, in a pandemic, when the shops are hurting, And the
And
business,
we're struggling to keep people employed.
and yet these people who do get into an accident, now they're even adding insult to injury by saying, we're only going to pay this much. The insurance industry saying, we're only going to pay this much. We're not paying anymore. And they dug their heels in. And
More than ever before, and I've heard it because I'm part of an association. I hear from people all over the country.
Sure.
And everybody was saying the same thing. They are just being horrific. And you would think it's against the shops. It's really against the consumer.
Right.
And the shops are just trying to help the consumer out. But, they had to grind even a little bit more profit out of it from that standpoint. In addition to that, they laid off thousands of people.
The insurance industry.
The insurance industry laid off thousands of people and went to more of a virtual type of claims adjusting system.
You've seen this with take your pictures and send it in, right?
Yep, and that required a whole lot less people.
Yep.
And when there's a whole lot less people, when you need something, who's on the other end of the phone? There's nobody on the other end of the phone. And it took longer to get claims settled because there were less people to settle them. And what they did was they ran people out of their rental car policy. So if you have 30 days on your rental car and it's taken 45 days just to get the approvals to repair the car properly, you're either walking or paying the difference, or maybe borrowing a car.
And most people are not
and
walking.
That's transferring their expense onto you.
Again, it just, and they're spending less money because they laid off all these people.
Yep.
More profit.
So more profit for them.
Right. And then they're making you pay for the additional services that you require because they drag their feet. And by the way, I can tell you just from my own observations, they're not the ones getting blamed for that. It's the body shop who is taking the heat from both consumers and the insurance industry saying, why isn't my car fixed?
Yeah, it's all of that. It's all of that.
Yeah.
And, they just made so much money from not only continuing to charge, throwing you some breadcrumbs with some birdseed with the little bit of money they're going to send back your way, and all the way, by the way, still raising premiums in some cases. Everybody's due to make a profit. That you get into business to make a profit.
Absolutely.
I am not sour about that at all.
No, this is not sour grapes against any industry making a profit. What it is calling attention to one industry making exorbitant profits at the expense of you, the consumer.
And taking the situation for granted, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was a horrible situation that we all had to live through. They lived through it a little bit better than most.
And there are organizations that are supposed to be policing this.
Yeah.
And it would appear that those organizations have both turned a blind eye and after repeated, and I'm talking month after month after month after month of emails and memos being sent across the country to these watchdog organizations that are supposed to be looking out for you, according to the article, they still have done nothing in response to this.
Yeah, they did better in California, but nowhere near, again, enough.
Yeah.
And
if you look at the chart that are provided on some of these articles, and again, the link to the article is in the description box below. If you just look at those, you said, they did better in California, but at the same time, California still has the greatest amount of discrepancy.
Yeah, well, they're suggesting that the insurance companies still owe everybody money.
Yeah.
And that there may be, $3 billion plus in California that should have been returned.
And that's a conservative estimate.
Right.
There's other groups have said as much as $5 billion returned to California residents.
And so, during the pandemic, there were a lot of agencies and government actions trying to help people through this horrific time that we were all going through. And, we had the PPP program to help businesses stay alive. Some made it, some didn't.
Right.
They stopped evictions. They said, okay, nobody can get evicted during this time.
Right.
Meanwhile, now, okay, but what's the backside of that? Backside of that is the person that's owns the house that you're renting or the apartment that you're renting
Still has to pay the mortgage.
probably has a mortgage on the building, still has to pay the mortgage.
Yep.
So, I'm not sure how all that worked, but
It's ugly, I can tell you that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of that with one of my clients. And yeah, it's ugly.
but we have agencies in every single state of this country that are supposed to be making sure that you, the consumer, are being treated fairly.
Right.
And these articles would call their ability to do that into question and suggest that you're owed more money back
Yeah.
than what you've gotten, if you got anything at all. Because again, I didn't get anything.
Well, and I got $75. And I think here, Rob, the end point of our conversation today is all of us, have a role to play in finding out where truth lies in the middle of this. And maybe you are owed hundreds, maybe more,
Maybe more.
thousands.
Who knows? Because I don't know how many people in each state are insured, and you couldn't. I don't know how to divide that up. So, my recommendation. I don't think that we should let this just fly through a news cycle and get forgotten about next week because there's something else going on.
Yeah.
I would, and I plan on giving my agent a call and asking them, show them the articles. What does this mean?
Yeah.
And does our insurance company, are they going to do anything about this? And let enough agents get called, they're going to start funneling the stuff up to the top, and maybe we'll get some answers.
There you
If
go.
not, maybe the Department of Insurance, knock, 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 knock. Hey, am I owed another refund? Is everybody owed another refund? Maybe a senator or a congressman. Hey, did you see what was going on? Could this really have happened?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those ones that you really probably want to get involved in. So, like you said, call your agent and start with that conversation.
Yeah, start close to home and fan out if you can.
Yeah.
I just think if people need to be made uncomfortable over this, maybe they own it.
Maybe
They don't. But maybe they should have an answer or at least be aware of it.
The conversation needs to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's the safe thing to say.
So anyway, that's what I have for today.
All right.
And so this is going to be airing September 11th.
That is true. That is true. And I want you to know, I can speak clearly for both of us here at Nylund's Collision Center. We will never, ever forget.
Never. Make the day the best you can.
Absolutely.
Happy Saturday.
And to you.
Happy Saturday.